We're live. It is a Thursday. I am Rich Lieberman, and this is the Bay Area Media Pulse. People constantly tell me I'm too hard on various people, radio stations. Sometimes I center on too much negativity, that I'm always kind of just plain negative, negative, negative. And I've always stated this: look, give me something positive, give me something good to say, and I will compliment. You could be negative yourself and cynical all the while saying, well, look, nobody gives a crap about positivity anyway. I've always given the story about people who drive on the freeway, and when there's a very, very serious accident where there's dead bodies on the road, they're going to stop and do the proverbial rubbernecking. That's just the society in which we live. But I want to center today on a lost art. We have the amateur hour folks at KCBS, and there's a few good people left, not a lot. But in the terms of street reporters, and these are the reporters who get down and dirty. And what I mean by that, not literally, but figuratively, where they're out at the story, whether it's 3 a.m, 3 p.m, noon, what have you, they're there. They're intelligent. They know geography. They know the lay of the land. Therefore, they give you credible reports, and they don't just show up and act like sheep. They wouldn't be caught in any sense of the word going to a restaurant opening in Walnut Creek unless there was legitimate news. They wouldn't take part in BS. They wouldn't put up with shenanigans that have become the norm at a KCBS or a KGO or a KTVU. I mentioned TV stations because some of these folks did TV too. They weren't just on the radio, but the true grit, the true street, the true sense of repertoire regarding reporters was on the radio. And I'm going to mention 3 people that come to mind. And I've talked about them in the past, but I want to reinforce what I mean by this and give you positivity. I'm going to mention names like Bob Melrose, KCBS, award-winning street reporter, ace reporter, knew what the hell he was talking about, was there when you needed him, and the most important story, whether it was the Caldecott Inferno years ago, whether it was the sniper in the building across from Fox Plaza in downtown San Francisco, whatever, fire, earthquake, flooding, Bob Melrose was there, and he was fantastic. Peter Clevaland, KGO radio was so good, was so dynamic, was so terrific, gave you the news, the facts, the analysis, that guess what? He migrated to television. He went from KGO radio to KGO TV. He covered one of the most horrific stories that I remember growing up in my lifetime, and that was Jonestown. He reported from Guyana on the Saturday when the initial images of all the mayhem, the murders, the suicides came out, and Peter Clevaland gave us what was eventually going to be one terrible, disturbing story. Peter Clevaland was right there. But Peter Clevaland was more than just doing that story. He was everywhere. And he was on both the radio in the early days at KGO and, of course, at KGO TV at Channel 7. His chilling account of what was taking place in Guyana. You can get it right here on YouTube. I urge you to listen and watch that. Masterful. And of course, I don't want to leave out Rita Williams, the TV news reporter at KTVU, Channel 2, when KTVU was legit, when KTVU had balls of glory, when they were totally the magical KTVU, when they had real people and real reporters and real anchors and not the frauds that they have today, by and large. And I say with an asterisk, there's a few good people left at KTVU, both in front of the camera, behind the camera. But Rita Williams was fantastic because Rita wasn't just an ace reporter. She knew the environment. She had contacts. She knew politicians. And guess what? When she would do a sit down with a various politician, they weren't always comfortable. But you know what? They respected her. They didn't fear her. Oh, they were quite edgy. They didn't want to sit behind the camera and have to answer questions because they knew Rita would ask them a very fair, legitimate question. And it was open game because Rita didn't try to go and catch you and try to embarrass you and all that. If you did it yourself, well, then so be it. My point is, Rita was the consummate professional. And I don't say that to be dramatic. I say that because you really don't have many people like that left in the Bay Area. This market, supposedly a top 10 market, and they are still. You would think, even though TV news has become marginalized, that they would find people who have been trained, who know the lay of the land, who know geography, who know literally and figuratively where they're covering, what they're covering, how to pronounce, just for example, Lafayette and not refer to it as Lafayette, for God's sakes. Most of the reporters today, they're amateur hour. They just got off the bus from Lodi. They throw a microphone in front of them and put them out to report, and they're frauds. They're lousy. They're inept. Garbage, dreck. On and on and on I could go. But I don't want to do that just yet. I want to highlight Bob Melrose and Peter Cleveland and Rita Williams. They're all professional. And I can tell you with a lot of glee, too. I know that they're not only alive, they're established. They're looking out and watching things and listening to radio, even though we don't have any radio left in the Bay Area because we have no news. We have no news talk. We have KQED, which is sad. We have KCBS, which is repulsive, with fraud reporters like whatever her name is. And Peter Finch. And I'm Steve Scott. I am an anchor, and I talk like this because it sounds as if I have a root stuck up my ass. I think the name of the woman, to be factual, is Raquel Maria Dillon. Where do they find these people? Where do they find these people? Well, that's a sad thing to say. I don't know. But why concentrate on negativity? You're right. So today I wanted to highlight and to plug these three great Hall of Famers. They are representative of what radio used to be and television news. Supreme and professional and elegant and worth listening to. And people that you looked up to, people that you knew were going to do the job that they were paid pretty good money, good for them to do because they were legit. And you felt comfortable and you realized that, God forbid, any major story that they had to cover, if it was frightening, if it was something like a sniper or a fire or an earthquake, what have you, terrorist, they gave you the account. They gave you the story, and they knew what the hell they were talking about and were not the amateur hour actors and pathetic idiots that we have today. And yes, I hate to say it, but that is the state of San Francisco radio, TV, journalism. If you didn't know it, you know it now. And guess what? I can say it. I'm not beholden to outside interests who only want Peter Pan stories, who only want positivity. When there is no positivity, I will not say there is positivity. When there are people that you want to highlight and that are good, send me some person and I will watch and observe and try to listen. But when there's crap and dreck, you're going to get dreck and crap. Thank God for the likes of Peter Cleveland and Bob Melrose and Rita Williams.